Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Zareth Prevails. I am here in a hotel room. You guys can't tell that, but it's totally a hotel room. There's some priceless art behind me. It's really cool. Just one of the best things ever. Anyways, I'm at a podcast convention. Actually, it's fairly interesting, but we're not going to talk about that today. What we want to talk about is there's this new update here in for SWGOH, for Galaxy of Heroes. They've just announced it. People have decided to be negative, and it's an interesting thing. I mean, it's a change, so people are going to be negative. Of course, they are. That's how it works. And some change is actually quite negative. So we want to kind of evaluate this and see, is it worthy of being negative, or should we actually get the pitchforks out? And I mean, if you know me, you probably know I'm probably not gonna grab a pitchfork unless it's somewhat serious, and I really don't think anything here is that serious, frankly. But all right, so they're going to be changing our schedule, I think that's going to take some adjusting to, frankly. I mean, three GAC weeks and then one off instead of four GAC weeks and one off is fairly significant to me, to everyone, really. I mean, we've been doing GAC like this for 2 years now, and having this kind of a change is different, but they did show us the numbers, and it looks like we'll have roughly equivalent amounts of rewards. The crystal income is going to be pretty good still, or whatever. If you guys don't think it's really good, then that's on you. But that means you're probably not winning in GAC like ever, or not participating at all. But one way or another, it should be roughly equivalent to what it has been, and all the other rewards, not just crystals. But I think one of the biggest things is it's going to change Death Week. Instead of having both, well, not both, but all three of GAC, Lightside Territory Battles, and Conquest in the same week. They're splitting it up. We'll still have two of those in the same week, but not all three, which is pretty nice, in my opinion. But otherwise, I mean, it makes some sense. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I think some of this. So people feeling frustrated about this. We've got the data Crons leak that happened recently. We've got, the Lord of the Rings game has been announced, and okay, so here's the new formula, guys. If you want to know the way to complain about this game, like moving forward, just as long as this game exists from now on, all you have to do is say CG hates Galaxy of Heroes now. They hate Star Wars. They're gonna trash it soon. They're just gonna throw it away, because all of their focus is on Lord of the Rings, and they're just doing one last cash grab. They're gonna two last cash grabs. They're gonna just make it so that we they're gonna make all this money off of Galaxy of Heroes, then throw it aside, just get rid of it, because Lord of the Rings is here and it's way better, and it's way more important. And I I don't know, like that's gonna be the new thing, guys. Like, mark my words. Whenever we have an update in Galaxy of Heroes that people don't like, they're gonna say, "Oh, it's because the Lord of the Rings took all the talent and took all the care that CG had." I mean, it's like blaming your parents for liking your brother more. Like, at some point, like, just get over it, right? I mean, if, maybe there's something you can do about it, maybe there's not, but maybe just stop whining about it and making comparisons, because that's not doing anyone any good whatsoever. And we don't even know. I mean, are they really just going to throw away this game that's still super profitable, that's a ridiculously important and high profile intellectual property like IP, just because they got a different cool new game? Like, they're not gonna just throw it away. That's ludicrous. That's a terrible business decision. They're not just gonna say, like, "Oh yeah, like, get a little bit of money." I bet that the people who own CG, like all their stockholders or shareholders or whatever words you want to use, like, what to describe them, like, I'm sure they're not just like, oh yeah, like this really super reliable game that's provided a huge amount of income. Let's just get a tiny bit more income and then throw it away forever. Like let's just do that because that's good business decision, right? Like let's just get rid of it. Cool, awesome, good call. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe their organizational structure is such that they share resources. And so sometimes Lord of the Rings is going to pull from Galaxy of Heroes staff. I don't really know. But I do know that they still care enough about the game that when our community manager left for paternity leave, we got someone from a totally different game that isn't even CG at all to come and fill in for a little bit because they still care about that aspect of the game. Like you don't do that if you're just going to like sink the ship. You're just not going to. You're not gonna put that kind of effort in. So a little bit ludicrous, guys. Okay, so there's this new thing that there's a guy who is at Celebration right now, claims he went to see CG and talked to him. And okay, so maybe this is true, by the way, just to make sure. Like I might be using negative language here, but it could very well be true, and I don't know. But I don't recognize the guy. Maybe everyone else in the world does. Maybe he's the most famous person in Galaxy of Heroes that I just haven't met. But one way or another, he says that he talked to CG in Celebration, asked him about the catch-up mechanics that they haven't given us that they promised, which fair play. We haven't gotten all the catch-up mechanics that they said. Like they're gonna give us more gear and all of that stuff. Like they haven't yet. That's fair. But this guy says that the CG employee that they asked is has like he said, no, we're good. Like we're done. No more catch-up mechanics. And so that they had more interaction. And I don't want to misrepresent anything. I'm not reading it off of the actual post right now, but I do know that CG doesn't like left knows not what right is doing at CG. Like they don't really know what's going on. Like if you ask someone from the art department what's going on, they're gonna get a different answer than someone from their finance department or from the just game development stuff. Like we know that they don't talk to each other, and that is an organizational issue. Like I'm not trying to make excuses for them. Like they should all kind of be more on the same page than they actually are, but at the same time, that doesn't mean we're not getting catch-up mechanics. We might not, and that is an issue. We need to get those. I firmly believe that if this game is going to last, we do need more catch-up mechanics. Like new players playing the game, I think a lot of them are like people say like I could never start the game now, start over. That seems crazy. I think a lot of new players are actually really enjoying the game. I've talked to a few, and they seem pretty interested still. But the fact remains, I think that they'd enjoy the game more if they could catch up faster. I'd enjoy the game more if they could. We want that. So, but the CG employee gave a vague answer, and it's too easy to think like that someone could go to CG and they're like, hey, what about those catch-up mechanics you promised? And the guy's like, oh, well, we had an update like a little bit ago. Like, you didn't hear about that? And the guy's like, oh, okay, thanks. And then he gets on Reddit and he's like, guys, we're not getting catch-up mechanics ever. CG promised me they'll never give us catch-up mechanics. Like, they even told me to F off, like, for even asking. Like, it's too easy for that kind of situation to happen where it's just like, we have one point of data. Maybe it's true. I don't. I think it's somewhat plausible, frankly. I think we don't know enough to base any, like, let's waste some energy and get angry about something we don't understand yet. That seems like a good idea. So it looks like the new title update's going to be the week of June 13th, and that's right. That they're doing all these new things to make sure like we're having 2 weeks off before the next GAC season, which is fine. It's not the end of the world. They're making sure that we get enough rewards to compensate from that. So I mean, we're not going to suffer for it. Hopefully, So the question is, are they going to be Datacrons? It seems a little abrupt, frankly, to drop Datacrons on us without any more warning, though. I mean, I guess we have a little bit of warning. I don't know. This would be pretty extreme, actually, of them. If it is Datacrons, without the leak, we'd have no idea that Datacrons are coming, and so a new title update. It might be Datacrons, or maybe it's something else. It actually does make sense. So if it is Datacrons, we'll have to see if it's any good. That might be horrible. That might be, that's part of why people are saying the game is just go. It's one big cash grab real quick and then it's over. I could understand that, but I think it makes sense that Datacrons, if they're gonna be implemented into the game, whether or not they're good or not, it makes sense that they're making a more uniform scenario. Like if they're going to have seasonal advantages and everything that the Datacrons are saying that they're going to give us, like it makes sense that they'd have a more uniform method of delivery. And they've been kind of pushing our schedule anyways to be more to have the same schedule, like Conquest is every 4 week, or is at the start of every month, but then somehow magically Lightside Territory Battle is always on that same week, and the weeks that or the months that they don't align, and GAC always starts that same week. The weeks that they don't align, they mysteriously have a delay for some reason, and that's been the case for a few months now, and so it makes sense that they're going to be making it a more uniform thing. If they're going to have seasons of GAC and everything, like we'll be able to predict what the changes are. I think overall this seems like a decent change, guys. First impressions, they're not messing with our rewards. They're giving us more time off of GAC. Like 1 week off and 3 weeks on is more than 1 week off and 4 weeks on, and they're not increasing our workload, so to speak. We'll have to see about the Datacrons, but I think a lot of the anger out there in the community, whereas some of it is, there's some questionable things happening, some things that we need to address, and CG needs to address. Right now, I don't think now is the time for anger. I think right now is the time for just surviving 3v3 for a couple more weeks, and then taking a couple weeks off and getting ready for 5v5. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. The new title update's going to be here. We'll get the Grand Inquisitor. We'll see what kind of madness he's got going. We can all go watch Kenobi now. It's out, apparently. And, yeah, good times. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Maybe I'm totally off base. Maybe there are more points of data that I've missed. I don't know. I hope not. I hope that I've given you everything you need to know about the topic. But one way or another, let me know in the comments, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. And remember that in all things, Zareth prevails. Even while he's on semi-vacation. I don't know if a podcast conference can be called vacation exactly. Bunch of pretentious snobs here, actually. See you guys.